Our offensive operations are now concentrated on the Scorpion Island fortress. The base itself is a hard nut to crack, but we will isolate it by eliminating its bridge and central runway. Target: Red Suspension Bridge to the island and its Air Force base. There will be plenty of ack-ack and SAM defenses around the runway. Go in for one pass, then break off operations.
Ready? Right now! Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Enemy locked on. Focus on our ship. Enemy locked on us. Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Focus on our tail! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Up ahead!
Body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Up ahead!
Warning.
Enemy locked on target. Focus on our tail! Focus on our 6. On our left. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Up ahead! Enemy locked on us.
Warning.
Focus 12 o'clock. Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Enemy locked on us.
Warning. Warning.
Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Enemy focus on our 6.
Warning.
Locked on us. Bingo! Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Up ahead! Jesus, miss! On our right! Enemy in... Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Focus on our 6. Up ahead! Take off! Focus on our tail! On our right! Enemy in sight! Up ahead!
Warning. Warning.
Focus on our 6! On our right! Focus on our tail! On our left! Enemy locked on target! Jesus! On our left! Enemy in sight! Up ahead! Enemy on our right! Enemy in focus on our 6! Enemy in sight! ahead, take off! Bogey on our tail! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy in sight! Bogey on our 6! Up ahead! Bogey on our tail! Take off! Enemy in... Up ahead! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Bogey on our 6! On our right! Up ahead!
One.
Locked on us! Missile approaching! Dive! Dive! Jesus! Take off! Enemy in sight! On our right! Enemy locked on... Up ahead! Wasted!
Alert,
Bogey on our
body
6!
damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body
Up
damage.
ahead!
Alert, body damage.
Enemy in sight!
Warning.
Locked on us! Bogey on our tail! Missile approaching! Dive! Dive! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy in sight! Enemy in sight! Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! Jesus, miss! Jesus, miss! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Shoot it down! Blew him away! Enemy in sight! Enemy locked on target! Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy in sight! Enemy locked on target! And bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo!
Caution.
Altitude too low! Flying!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Enemy in
Alert,
sight!
body damage. Alert, body damage.
Enemy locked on target! Great shot!
Alert, body damage.
Our offensive operations are now concentrated on the Scorpion Island fortress. The base itself is a hard nut to crack, but we will isolate it by eliminating its bridge and central runway. Target, red suspension.
Ready? Break now! Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Bogey at 12 o'clock.
Alert, body damage.
Bogey on our 6.
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
On our left.
Alert, body damage. Alert, body
Up
damage.
ahead! Enemy locked on our right.
Alert, body
Great
damage.
shot!
Alert,
On
body
our left.
damage.
Bogey on our
Alert,
6.
body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Up ahead! Enemy in sight.
Warning.
Bogey on our 6. Jesus! On our left!
Warning.
Up ahead! Bogey on our 6. Enemy up ahead! On our right! Enemy in sight. Enemy on our right! Jesus! Bogey on our 6. Bogey
Warning.
on our tail!
Warning.
Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our 6. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Bogey on our 6. Jesus, miss. On our left. Up ahead. Fire. Shoot it down. Pursue him away. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Shoot him away! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Altitude too low. Fire! Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Bogey on our 6. On our left. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! On our left. Bogey on our 6. On our right. Up ahead. Bogey on our 6. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire. Shoot it down. Jesus, miss. On our right. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire. Shoot it down. Jesus, miss. Stay with him. Great shot! He's out! Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo!
Caution. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! On our left. Up ahead. Bogey is forward. Enemy locked on us. Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Enemy locked on target. Take off! On our left. Enemy in sight. Up ahead. On our left. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Up ahead. Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our tail. On our left. Up ahead.
Warning.
On our left. Bogey on our 6. Great shot. On our left. Enemy in sight. Up ahead. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Fire, bingo! Focus on our 6. Jesus, miss! Take off! Focus on our tail! Enemy locked on us.
Warning.
Up ahead! Missile approaching. Dive! Dive!
Caution.
Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
On our left!
Alert. Body damage. Alert. Body damage.
Up ahead!
Alert. Body damage. Alert. Body
Enemy
damage.
locked on target.
Alert.
Focus
Body
on our 6.
damage.
Focus on our tail! On our left! Enemy in sight. Up ahead! On our left! On our left! Focus on our 6. Bingo! On our left! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Take off! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Jesus! On our left! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Up ahead! On our left!
Warning.
On our left! On our right!
Warning.
Up ahead! Focus on our tail! Focus on our 6. On our left! Up ahead! Enemy locked on us. Missile approaching.
Caution.
Dive! Dive! Focus on our tail! Focus on our tail! On our left! Enemy in sight. Altitude too low. Climb! On our left! Up ahead! Focus at 12 o'clock! On our right! Great shot! Focus on our 6! On our left! On our right! Enemy in sight! Enemy locked on target! Great shot! Focus on our tail! On our left! Up ahead! Enemy in sight! Fire! Shoot it down! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy in sight! Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! Enemy in sight! Enemy locked on target!
Caution.
Great shot! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Great shot! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo!
Caution.
Pull out of it!
Engine stalled. Caution. Engine stalled. Caution.
Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Mission accomplished.
What?